I don't know about you guys, but if this movie came out later than 2014, such as the late 2010s or sometime in this decade, I feel like X Men Days of Future Past would have received the controversy and would have had a polarizing critical reception because it kind of feels like the last Jedi of of the X Men franchise, where like it's so different and Charles having a very similar broken hero story arc to Luke Skywalker, and not to mention the film features an Asian man and an African man and an Asian woman in the X Men team. Something that people, especially anti-SJWs, wouldn't like. Thank God for this movie coming out at a time when nobody knew much about the woke, using woke term against movies. Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Stews here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today, I am going to be doing a review on X Men Days of Future Past. So, X Men Days of Future Past is the seventh X Men film to release overall, and it came out in the year 2014. Yes, happy 10th anniversary to this film. And is directed by Bryan Singer, the original X Men director, who has returned to the director's chair with this one. And it stars Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Nicholas Hoult, Jennifer Lawrence, Halle Berry, Elliot or Ellen Page, Anna Paquin, Sean Ashmore, Omar Sy, Evan Peters, Peter Dinklage, Josh Hellman, Daniel Cudmore, Fan Bingbing, Alan Canto, Famke Janssen, James Marsden, Lucas Till, etc. And so the film tells a story. Well, how do I say this? Tells a story of the X Men, not the old generation of X Men to be specific, who are pretty much facing the end of the mutants and the end of themselves when Sentinels are sent to them to pretty much end the human race once for and for all. And so realizing that their past mistakes are what caused Sentinels are bringing extinction of the mutants. Their best goal is to go back into the past, specifically when the X Men characters Charles and Magneto, to be specific, were young. They must go back in time there in order to pretty much change the events to prevent human extinction. And so, out of all of them, they chose Wolverine to do it. Wolverine, since he joined the X Men late, so it wouldn't really have been that confusing. Wolverine goes back in the 70s, a time taking place 10 years after the events of the first class, where pretty much the X Men was on a downward spiral. Magneto and Mystique betrayed Charles, and now Charles has become a washed up loser who pretty much lost everything he loves, and he only has Hank to take care of him. But Hank gives Charles medications to control his powers, but then he overuses it up to the point where he actually loses his powers for good. So now he is forever lost. And so Wolverine's goal is to convince everyone in the past who have a future ahead of them to pretty much change history and reconsider their decisions. So Wolverine finds Charles, but it does take a while for Charles and pretty much anybody to believe that Wolverine is actually sent from the future to warn them about the future and change their perspectives. Sorry about that. I bumped into something. So, anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, Wolverine finds young Charles, young Magneto, and young Beast, and their mission is to stop Mystique from assassinating a scientist named Bolivar Trask, who is creating Sentinels, who builds Sentinels, and also that was help both Magneto and Mystique to reconsider their decisions in order for the future to be saved and to save the mutant race. So yeah, that was a long plot there, but there's really a lot here going on here. So yeah, anyways, guys, I wanna say again, happy 10th anniversary to this movie. Man, it's been such a long time since this movie came out. Like time really flies, doesn't it? Yeah, I still remember seeing this movie for the first time. Yeah, when this movie came out, there was a newly opened cinema, and it's not just a regular cinema, but it was a new format called 4DX, where basically where basically chairs would move while the movie's playing, and it would make you feel like you're actually in the movie, and so yeah, that was something new to people at the time, but because you'd always find 4DX rides at theme parks and arcade. Yes, this 4DX rides in my arcade. By the way, did I say arcade? I don't know. That's weird, but whatever. The point is, I saw this movie in 4DX because it was brand new, and so I wanted to try it. But yeah, damn, it was an absolute experience. Now, this wasn't really the first X Men movie I saw in theaters. That was the Wolverine. And boy, do I have a terrible history when did I have a terrible experience I'll never forget with the Wolverine. Although I think the Wolverine is no longer my worst cinema experience on reflection now. It used to be, but I think there was one recent cinema experience that I think has become my worst cinema experience ever. I do plan on making a video talking about my worst cinema, my worst and shittiest cinema experience period. But for now, let me just talk about this amazing experience. Just seeing and feeling this movie in 4D, not to mention 3D. It was such an experience to behold. And I will admit though, as someone who knows nothing about who knew nothing about the team and only Wolverine, although I did see First Class being after this one, but I was kind of late to the originals, to be honest. Yeah, I was a little bit confused on I did find it so confusing since I didn't know too much about the X-Men and stuff. So yeah, but either way, even if I didn't understand it, I still remember loving this when it came out. And yeah, the anime, and what actually got me to see this film was the trailer, and also my dad taking me to go see it. But yeah, that trailer is one of the greatest trailers ever made. Period. It's particularly with the teaser trailer. Oh man, that teaser trailer, just wow. My dad showed me that trailer, and I was just blown away by how good it was. And I remember before I rewatched Days of Future Past today, I revisited that teaser trailer, and man, it still holds up as one of my absolute favorite trailers of all time. Even the second trailer, it's among my favorites. The third trailer was still awesome, but I wouldn't really consider it among my favorites. I think it is the weakest trailer, but yeah, this movie's marketing was insane, and I would have actually hyped this up as to be the best X-Men movie. Although Amazing Spider-Man 2 was actually my most anticipated movie that year. Simply because I was already a Spider-Man fan as a child, and I wasn't too big at X-Men at the time. But yeah, Days of Future Past is one of the most critically received, the most critically raved X-Men movie. And before Logan, this was considered to be the best X-Men movie. I don't think anybody would have expected that this would have been top, because this movie really set the bar so high with the X-Men franchise. And yeah, and after rewatching this movie, all I gotta say is this movie still holds up well. Yeah, I kind of thought at first that I was like thinking maybe First Class would actually end up being better than this one, because of just how much I was obsessing about First Class yesterday. But now I went from obsessing about First Class to obsessing about this film, because man, this movie is so good. Yeah, so yeah, I guess that makes First Class my third favorite X-Men movie, and this one being my second. Logan is still the best X-Men movie by far. Yeah, First X Men First Class did the job well, very well to establish this new generation of X Men with younger counterparts and get us invested in them. And First Class, it really made me immediately invested in the younger versions of Charles and Magneto, played by James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. But Days of Future Past takes this series, the entire X Men series in general, to a whole new level too. And this film is the biggest, grandest, and most ambitious X Men movie you will ever see. What makes this the grandest in scale what the X Men has ever gotten is seeing both generations of X Men in the same movie and have them crossover. By just simply using time travel and time changing and going up back and forth from the future and the past, which is why this movie's title is Days of Future Past. What this movie does is basically erase the entire original X-Men trilogy plus Orange Wolverine. Well, good for that film. Erase them from canon, like pretty much erase everything that has happened to them, erase all their events, and transform this generation's X-Men films from a prequel to a reboot. So yeah, so after what this film did to the X-Men, X-Men Apocalypse and all the films going forward are now pretty much reboots. And while First Class is still technically a prequel, it is a very risky movie. Yeah, this is the riskiest that the X Men has ever gotten, which is why it's also the most ambitious. Because it could have turned out convoluted and messy, and it could have pissed off X Men fans, especially those who grew up with the original X Men. It would have led them to just be like, oh, why did you ruin my precious original X Men? Why did you do that? I love this X Men. You can't replace the original. Yet what this movie actually did is replace the original. This movie had all the material. This movie would have easily been easily received the controversy from X-Men fans. It would have pissed off X-Men fans, but no, everybody loves this movie. Even the fans of the original X-Men really like the way that they changed the history. History, and yeah, this is a very complicated movie, and it's gonna take multiple rewatches in order to understand the film. But yeah, this film does a really good job establishing time and Bryan Singer's take on how change of past events can change the future, which shows how, in reality, past events can lead to the future. Can they feature a lot of time travel movies just did it differently based on events, but this movie feels very different and fresh from your average time travel movie because it's not really about changing the event itself, but rather changing the character development of these characters, trying to just bring these characters up and convince them to change their minds. Usually when it comes to these time travel films, the person that time traveling is the one who does it, who changes it. But in this film, the Wolverine is sent back in time to pretty much change the characters and make them change the future that they have no idea what's happening. Of course, yeah, you got your typical time travel gimmicks where a character would be like, yeah, a character would just tell people, hey, the main character would tell people, hey, I got sent from the future. I'm from the future, and then everyone will think he's crazy. Now, granted, I don't like these cliches. I hate the I don't believe you're crazy cliche. Whenever a character would tell people that something weird happened, and then people would just laugh and be like, haha, you're so crazy. There's no way this would happen. Whether it'll be this guy who is doing something evil, and then the main character will be, hey guys, this guy who you trusted is actually evil, and he's doing this, blah blah blah. He's trying to kill us all, and then characters and then the character the supporting characters would be like, ha ha ha, you're crazy. There's no way that will happen. You're lying. You're just insane. That's the kind of bullshit I can't stand. But when it comes to the future, it's totally understandable that people would think the main character is crazy for going back in time to the future because they don't know that it exists. They it's meant to be just a fantasy, and it's just trying to be as realistic as possible by doing that. So I totally can usually forgive that cliche when it comes to time travel movies. It actually makes sense. And Makes sense. Though what makes this film truly special is actually not quite the ambition of crossing over both generations of X Men. Which is like sure it is probably a portion of it is what made the movie so special, but it is because of how powerful and emotional it is, and the character arcs that come along with it. Yeah, Wolverine. Yeah, like what I said earlier, Wolverine's purpose of going back in time is not only to change events, but change character arcs too. Is especially Charles. And man, the character development of the young X Men really hits hard. Yeah, like what I said, after the events of First Class, the X Men is down to shit now. And yeah, I forgot to mention, even the school itself is pretty much just turned into nothing. Yeah, pretty much Charles has shut down his program of teaching the students, and now it is just turned into a regular house with just Charles and Hank isolating themselves. Well, I don't think Hank has isolated himself, but Charles is the one who isolated himself and has pretty much and is pretty much afraid to go out into the world. Pretty similar to how in Last Jedi Luke Skywalker isolated himself in the island. I forgot the last name of Last Jedi, but whatever. It's not even on topic. Yeah, it's very similar to that. And yeah, he has nothing else in his life after giving up his powers and being betrayed by who he loved. Yeah, and it is now up to Wolverine to redeem a broken hero, the broken arc in Charles, and turn him into the hero he once was. That is, I love these kinds of broken hero arcs. Where yeah, I love these kinds of broken hero arcs, which really explains why I love Luke in The Last Jedi. Why I love The Last Jedi, because of the broken hero storyline. Magneto and Mystique also have big shoes to fill, probably even bigger than Charles, because both their actions is what decides on the fate of the future. If they're going to pull out the same shit as they did in the actual past, then the future would be doomed, and humanity would have been extinct. No, mutants would have been extinct 50 years from the time period was set in. By the way, this movie's End of the World future actually took place in this decade, just 2 years ago, believe it or not. Yeah, what a coincidence. And yeah, I think they both have perfect character arcs. As I love how they were both portrayed as not villains, but rather anti-heroes who are lost and must get help when it comes to choosing a path that impacts the future. And it's all thanks to both Wolverine and Charles. For Wolverine and Charles, it's up to them to help Magneto and Mystique, which is pretty much why young Charles, is an important factor to Wolverine, because Wolverine has to change Charles first, and then Magneto and Mystique, the performances in this film. This movie has some of the best performances in the entire X-Men franchise. Although with the other X-Men films besides Hugh Jackman. Now, yes, obviously Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is a strong point, but he fails here in comparison to his performance as Wolverine in, well, Logan, aka the best X-Men movie. But when it comes to the other X-Men films, whether it is the old generation or the new generation, every single one of them gives their best performance, period. I think the young X-Men are superior, as I will always prefer this generation of X-Men over the original generation that people grew up with in the 2000s. James McAvoy as Charles probably gave my favorite performance of the film. As you know, like what I said, he is a broken man who has lost everything, and it's literally a future character, a character from 50 years into the future, who helps Charles pretty much. Yeah, and I think he gives the best performance. Yeah, James McAvoy gives the best performance in his entire career. Yeah, I know people say Split is his best performance, and don't get me wrong, I love Split. It's my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie, but Days of Future Past is James McAvoy's shining role, period. Yeah, and James McAvoy perfectly portrays this broken man who just wants to fix himself. Like, he's broken man who pretty much gets help, and if it wasn't for future Wolverine, Charles would have been completely lost forever, and he would have had no path to take, and he would have just let the Magneto and Mystique just get away with pretty much affecting the future. And also another highlights in this film were Michael Fassbender and Jennifer Lawrence, especially Jennifer Lawrence. Well, actually, both of them are equal. Yeah, Michael Fassbender gives the greatest performance in his career. I don't see any other roles he did come close. Any roles he did come close. Yeah, Magneto is easily Michael Fassbender's best role, and you cannot convince me that an art house film it is better when it comes to Michael Fassbender's role. I mean, what indie film are you even talking about? The Snowman? Boo. And yeah, I'm pretty sure y'all forget that exists. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just remember the Snowman existed. I don't know why. I mean, everybody should forget about the Snowman anyway. So, but yeah, Michael Fassbender's performance is so raw in here. And especially when he gets aggressive, he really does. He really does. And by the way, the dialogue in this movie is absolutely excellent. Especially with lines like, "I don't want your suffering. I don't want your future." And also from Jason McAvoy, perfect line delivery. That is probably my favorite line in all of X-Men. Yeah, "I don't want your suffering. I don't want your future." That is the greatest X-Men line, period, like ever, and no one can convince me otherwise. And even Michael Fassbender's performance lines like, "You were supposed to protect them," in the plane scene when both Charles and pretty much Magneto was confronting Charles for pretty much just deciding to just isolate himself instead of trying to help people. And then Magneto really got so frustrated with Charles, so much so that Michael Fassbender really gave it his all with his acting, showing his anger and rage towards Charles, and it's really good, man. I also love the old cast. I'd say they all gave a better performance in this movie than any of the three original X-Men movies. Yeah, both Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen give their best performances as Charles and Magneto, especially Patrick Stewart. Yeah, how the fuck can you go from this masterpiece to the Emoji Movie? Like, did he actually do a film in between this and the Emoji Movie besides Logan? I don't know, but yeah, going from Professor X to Pope, what the fuck did you do, Patrick Stewart? And also, don't get me fucking started on him playing as the twist villain in Charlie's Angels. Oh boy. And yeah, where was I? Yeah, don't get me started on that. But yeah, and but in this one, Charles, while James McAvoy Charles has this very very aggressive and pissed off kind of acting. I love how the old Professor X was very calm throughout, but and yet gives a very emotionally resonating performance. In fact, Charles in this movie is the Patrick Stewart Charles is actually the heart of this movie. And by the way, I want to get my favorite scene out of the way right now. The scene when young Professor X and the old Professor X meet up. Yeah, and my God, the scene was just so touching, so hard hitting, and it really made me cry. That is actually tied with Wolverine's death in Logan as the saddest X-Men scene. Period. Yeah, I fucking subbed in that scene. Yeah, just seeing how just Charles looking at young Charles, looking at old Charles, and then just realizing, oh, Eric was right. Eric was right. Humans did this to us. Humans are the ones full of shit, and they should be killed. But old Charles was just giving was pretty much teaching young Charles and young Charles that humanity isn't what they think, and also convince him that that Magneto eventually learned. I think. Yeah, and so just their conversation alone, it's just a simple conversation, and yeah, but it's just so powerful. And also that this has the best Professor X line. Just because someone stumbles and loses their path doesn't mean that they're lost forever. Yeah, that is one of the most iconic X-Men quotes. So much so that it would actually be brought up in that would actually be referenced in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So much so. Hopefully, one day, hopefully, we hopefully we get to see a reference to my favorite X-Men line. I don't want your suffering. I don't want your future. Maybe Deadpool Wolverine can reference that. I mean, they already referenced a certain line in the X-Men. They already referenced a certain line in X-Men First Class in the trailer of Deadpool Wolverine, so they should do it to Days of Future Past too, as well. And yeah, but yeah, that's C as well. Oh yeah, and Jennifer Lawrence as well. Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence. Now, yes, Jennifer Lawrence is a very controversial actress, especially nowadays. And literally, Jennifer Lawrence's controversy started with her role as Mystique. Specifically, when Mystique was like, when Mystique said that infamous quote from Dark Phoenix, which I'll talk about in my Dark Phoenix rant video. But Jennifer Lawrence was amazing in this one, and I think Jennifer Lawrence deserves far more love. If you just look at her in the X-Men trilogy, instead of just judging her based on the Dark Phoenix, I think that's a little unfair to just solely just overall judge her based on Dark Phoenix and not the entire X-Men franchise. X-Men franchise, yeah. But yeah, Jennifer Lawrence was amazing in this one, and this is her best performance yet. Yeah, even over her performance, her Oscar-winning performance as Tiffany from Silver Linings Playbook. And honestly, guys, if you guys have ever read my Letterboxd review on Silver Linings Playbook, I honestly do think that film is alright, but very overrated. Now, yes, it is alright. I guess it's not bad. It's a very well-made film, but actually, I do think that film is overrated. And that film is overrated. Probably one of David O. Russell's weakest films, period. Like alongside Joy, and I do think that Jessica Chastain for Zero Dark Thirty should have won Best Actress in that year over Silver Linings Playbook. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I gotta say this: her performance as Mystique in this movie feels more Oscar worthy than her performance in Silver Linings Playbook. That is how good Jennifer Lawrence was in this film. How powerful it was, and also, I love seeing the rest of the X-Men cast in this one. Storm, Iceman. Oh, and by the way, Iceman's sacrifice, man, that is so emotional. Just seeing Iceman get sacrificed. Yeah, a lot of these X-Men characters die, but Iceman probably has the most powerful and emotional death of the films. Yeah, I didn't think I would like Iceman as much as that, but yeah. And also, even my X-Men crush, Kitty Pryde, heck, she played a bigger role. She played an even bigger role in this one than she did in X-Men Last Stand. Yes, I still love Kitty Pryde in X-Men Last Stand, but I will admit though, I do love how this film expanded more on Kitty Pryde's character, because mostly the only personality they showed with Kitty Pryde in The Last Stand is her just running through walls and kicking ass. But But who the fuck who on earth would have known that Kitty Pryde would have had the powers to transport Wolverine into the past? Yeah, I love that. I love how they actually gave Kitty Pryde the biggest X-Men role. Yeah, the biggest role. Uh, I mean, one of the biggest roles in this movie. She was, yes, like what I said, she was the one responsible for sending Wolverine to the past. Yeah, she was the one who brought Wolverine there, and she was the one pretty much controlling Wolverine's actions controlling Wolverine throughout Wolverine's stay in the past. And I love that choice made with that. And also, yeah, the scenes with the old X-Men team, the old X-Men characters are dope because that was where all the big action scenes took place. Now, don't get me wrong, there was big action scenes in the the past scenes, the scenes with the young generation of X-Men, but the old generation is like the big ones, the ones where we see the X-Men facing off against the Sentinels and losing against them. And by the way, I gotta say, the Sentinels are my favorite X-Men villain ever. They are just a threat. They are just a massive threat and yeah, they are like the X-Men's greatest challenge. Yeah, they literally kill the X-Men, and no matter how hard the X-Men stops them, no matter how good no matter how good the X-Men can strategize, no matter how smart they are fighting or strong or powerful, there is literally no stopping the Sentinels. They are there to wipe out the mutants, and they literally have no weakness. That is, I just love that right there. Yeah, Sentinels are the best X-Men villain. You can't convince me otherwise. Not even Magneto can hold a candle to the Sentinels as the best villain. Also, I prefer anti-hero Magneto than villain Magneto. In case you guys are wondering, in case you guys ask, but yeah, and the action scenes kick ass. With the opening action scene being my favorite. Yeah, if you thought X2 had the best opening scene in the franchise, oh ho ho, this movie takes the epic opening sequence to a whole new level of epic. And also, the fact that John Ottman returned to compose this movie and even compose the score, and even compose the score, and even like have a new version of the X-Men theme playing in this. Man, it's so good, man. The score is so good. I really love that. And the ending of the film where Wolverine returns back to the future, while the present, his own timeline, but actually not only but the entire timeline has changed, and then he sees characters alive, like even Jean Grey. He sees everything is perfectly fine. Yeah, what an ending that was. It may be confusing at first, but once you actually think about it and digest into it, you realize that ending was actually very impactful. Because of what Wolverine did, and because of how the past was changed. So the future was all peaceful. Wolverine's time now at the end was all peaceful and all that stuff. And yeah, what an ending. Oh yeah, as much as this movie is heavy with themes, depth, and emotion, there is also some humor in this one too. Like that scene when the little girl was like, "I'm a princess. What are you?" And then the Wolverine responds, "I'm the Wolverine." Yeah, that is hilarious. I was laughing my ass out. And of course, we have that Quicksilver speed scene. Pretty much the scene where Quicksilver steals the show. I don't need to explain much about that, but you all know what it is. Although I will say X-Men Apocalypse did it better in my opinion. The Quicksilver stealing the show scene, yeah. X-Men Apocalypse did it better, especially with the "Sweet dreams are made of this." Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that scene in my X-Men Apocalypse review. And yeah, now I will say my only complaint about this film is the post-credit scene. Yes, I get that. I get it. The post-credit scene sets up X-Men Apocalypse by showing Apocalypse build, like pretty much forming a pyramid. But good God, the CGI and post-credit scene is dog shit. I'm sorry. What the fuck is that CGI? It looks obviously unfinished, especially with the construction of the pyramid. It looks obviously unfinished. It looks like a freaking video game cutscene, and that post credit scene, it felt like a last minute addition to the film. However, yeah, that it's just a post credit scene. It doesn't take away the perfection that this film is. Like, you could literally watch this film without the post credit scene itself. So overall, X-Men: Days of Future Past is a perfect fan service film. That is a love letter to the people who grew up with X-Men, while blending it with strong and emotionally resonant writing, as well as as strong character arcs. Yeah, this would be my second favorite superhero movie 2014, behind Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and it is in my top 5 favorite movies of 2014 list. Yes, 2014, one of the greatest years in cinema. The fact that this is high on the list just goes to show how good this movie is. And 2014 is certainly one of the greatest years for superhero movies. Even the weakest superhero movies like 2002, even the weakest superhero movie of 2014, Amazing Spider-Man 2, I still defend that film. Yeah, goes to show how much of a highlight that 2014 was for superhero films. I think 2014 might be the best year for superhero movies in general. Well, it's either 2014 or 2021. Either one of those years. Yeah. Now, with that said, I'm going to give X-Men Days of Future Past, of course, 5 stars out of 5. Oh, and by the way, I watched the Rogue cut of this one, and honestly, considering the fact that I personally don't really recognize, I don't memorize everything that happened in the theatrical version of this film. I couldn't really identify which scenes were added, which scenes are new that wasn't added in the theatrical cut. But I would say I do think the Rogue cut is better, mainly because the runtime of this film, 2 hours and 28 minutes, being the longest X-Men film, I think it's more appropriate that it pretty much is the longest X-Men film, considering that it is the biggest, grandest in scale, and most ambitious one. So I think it's more appropriate that this would be the longest one. Rather than just having 1 or 2 X-Men films be longer than this. So also for my review on X-Men Days of Future Past, what are your thoughts on the film? Would this be your favorite X-Men movie? Who agrees with me that this is at the very least the best of the team-up X-Men movies? And question to you all, what's your favorite superhero movie 2014? For me, it's Captain America, The Winter Soldier, but this is a close second. Yes, I put this above Guardians of the Galaxy 1. So yeah, comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my review on X-Men Apocalypse. So yeah, bye guys.